Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my personal involvement in the Eclipse project spanned the period from July 2006 through March 2007. In the July through December timeframe, I made several trips to the Eclipse facility to assist the FAA program manager in various tasks. These tasks included inspecting the first production airplane. The FAA program manager and I witnessed functional test procedures and inspected the airplane to verify it conformed to design drawings. The FAA program manager and I observed numerous instances where the airplane did not conform, yet had been signed off by Eclipse company inspectors and FAA designees as though it did conform. Eclipse company inspectors and FAA designees were repeatedly instructed by the FAA program manager that airplanes and functional test procedures should not be signed off and presented for FAA inspection unless everything conformed. It was my perception that Eclipse employees were under constant pressure from their management to deliver airplanes. I observed that Eclipse management would not hesitate to complain to FAA management when they perceived FAA inspectors were interfering with Eclipse's ability to deliver airplanes. On numerous occasions, when FAA inspectors told Eclipse personnel something they did not want to hear, the reply was to the effect that Eclipse could not live with that and the issue would be elevated. To support the airplane delivery schedule, Eclipse expected an FAA inspector presence virtually around the clock and made this known to FAA management. As a result, I and several of the FAA inspectors worked a great deal of overtime at Eclipse, including weekends and holidays. In late January, Eclipse presented the second production airplane for FAA inspection and airworthiness certification. Eclipse had submitted signed FAA forms containing certifying statements that the airplane had been inspected by Eclipse, was found to be airworthy, conformed to its type certificate, and was in condition for safe operation. The FAA inspector's inspection of the airplane indicated that Eclipse had neglected to adequately inspect the airplane before making application for an airworthiness certificate, and thus possibly violated FAA regulations by making an apparent false statement on the FAA forms. I consulted with the rotorcraft director at Manufacturing Inspection Office Manager in Fort Worth, and it was determined that an investigation should be initiated for a possible violation of federal regulations. An investigation case was initiated in accordance with FAA policy. It should be noted here that FAA policy established that every apparent or alleged violation must be investigated, and that the enforcement investigation report is the means for documenting an investigation. In mid-March, the FAA Aircraft Certification Service Director assigned a senior advisor from outside the rotorcraft directorate to assume responsibility for the Eclipse project. FAA inspectors were notified that they would report to the assigned senior advisor for all Eclipse production and airworthiness activities. I was informed by the rotorcraft director at Manufacturing Inspection Office Manager that the senior advisor wanted the in-progress investigation suspended immediately and the case was to be closed with no further action. The investigation was suspended and the case closed as directed. In mid-March, the senior advisor implemented a working agreement between Eclipse and the FAA, known as a project-specific certification plan. Language within the project-specific certification plan established that the FAA would recognize and utilize Eclipse's FAA designees to the greatest extent possible in inspecting Eclipse airplanes. FAA inspector utilization of FAA designees has been a common FAA practice, but only after companies have been able to demonstrate that their inspectors and FAA designees were reliable. In order to streamline FAA inspection of Eclipse airplanes, a flow chart within the project-specific certification plan established a set amount of time for FAA inspection of each airplane. Language within the project-specific certification plan also established that the FAA would not require removal of airplane interiors, floorboards, etc. when FAA inspections were performed. In mid to late March, I made the personal decision to obtain professional liability insurance. I want to emphasize that throughout the time of my involvement in the Eclipse project, management within the rotorcraft directorate never once pressured me to do anything that was contrary to FAA regulations. I have no personal reservations concerning any level of rotorcraft directorate management and consider them all to be high caliber people. This concludes my statement and I await the committee's questions.
Sure, thanks you, Mr. Lounge, and recognizes Ms. Bryant.